Welcome back to Patriot Network TV. We want to talk a little bit today about what President Obama had to say about Israel and the Middle East peace process. First of all, it is absolutely necessary for you to look at a map of Israel to understand how wrong the statements made by the president were that it's just beyond my understanding how he could talk about going back to the pre-67 borders. But just to put this in context for those of you who haven't looked at a map recently, by the way, I urge you, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, pause it. Go online, get the map of Israel, get the map of the Middle East, and look at the difference between 1948 to 1967 and then 1967 till today. Israel is a country that is obsessed with borders. They are obsessed with maps. If you go to Israel, if you talk to Israelis, they have maps everywhere. They are obsessed with defensible space because they are 3 million Israelis surrounded by 600 million Arab Muslims who hate them and wish to drive them into the sea. It is impossible to put in context the absolute tension, stress, and fear that the Israelis must live with every single day as leaders of major countries get up and say, we will kill you, we will drive you into the sea. The essence of this so-called conflict with the Palestinians boils down to a very simple subject and has nothing to do with borders. It has to do with the fact that Hamas and Iran and the pre-American intervention Iraq did not believe in UN Resolution 242 that says Israel has a right to exist. Israel, and Prime Minister Netanyahu articulated this perfectly to the Congress in a speech that got 30-some standing ovations. Israel cannot sit down to negotiate with people who have not signed off on UN Resolution 242 that says Israel has the right to exist. Netanyahu, in his speech yesterday to the Congress, said, and I quote, "I am willing to embrace the idea of a Palestinian state if the Palestinians are willing to acknowledge our right to exist." So far, they have not. Now, many people in the press, the same left-wing crybabies, were saying, oh, Netanyahu was rude to the president. No, the president has been rude to Netanyahu. The president has been dismissive of the life and death struggle that Israel faces every single day. The essence of what Netanyahu had to say was, we are in a fight for our lives. Now, lest anyone doubt this, go back in the archives of the New York Times to 1937, 1938. Read what the editorials in the New York Times had to say about Adolf Hitler, and then compare that to what the New York Times says today about Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Other than the two names, the editorials are exactly the same. Oh, he doesn't mean that. Oh, he's a clown. No one takes him seriously. If you're Israel and you have a history of almost being exterminated as a people, and that history goes back to the Masada. That history goes back 5,000 years. And you have been chased, you have been persecuted, you have been dispossessed from your land, from your rights, from the most basic forms of common human decency. And you are being told by a spoiled, rotten king baby that you have to sit down and negotiate with people who don't believe you have a right to exist. Mr. Netanyahu was very controlled and very polite as far as I'm concerned. Mr. Obama does not, cannot, will not appreciate the reality that the Israelis face on a day-to-day basis. It is absolutely essential to look at the maps and understand this tiny little country of 3 million Israelis, our only true ally in the Middle East, the only true democracy in the Middle East, the shining city on the hill in terms of freedom, in terms of equality, in terms of all the things that we as a people value. 3 million Israelis surrounded by 600 million plus Arab Muslims. Let that math sink in. It's 200 to 1. 200 to 1. And the President of the United States, who is supposed to be your best friend on earth, says, go back to the 1967 borders. I'm just glad Netanyahu didn't tell us to go back to the 1853 borders or the 1812 borders. Israel must have defensible borders. It is absolutely suicidal for them to swap land without firm guarantees of every party to the negotiation being a signatory of UN 242. At a minimum, the Palestinians, Hamas specifically, have to say publicly, Israel has the right to exist. God bless the United States of America. God bless Israel.